We just nominated for vice president someone who doesn't believe that it's real, though she lives in the state where it could not be more obvious than any place in the country. That should tell you something about her powers of observation. Last summer, the Arctic melted, okay? We suddenly saw a huge, rapid, uncontrolled melt of the Arctic that by the time it was done this time last year had broken the old record for minimum sea ice extent by 25%. And we've just matched it this year. This week, for the first time ever, both the Northwest and Northeast, first time in 125,000 years, the first time in Homo sapien history, okay? Both the Northwest and Northeast passages are open, and the Arctic is an island surrounded on all sides by water, okay? Suddenly we're seeing, and in the last 18 months seeing in a way we hadn't understood before, just how fast these changes are happening and just how deadly they're going to be. The scientists that I've been talking with for 25 years who have been sober and concerned and alarmed are all of a sudden on the edge of panic because of things like that rapid melt of Arctic ice, like the sudden and remarkable increase in the amount of methane pouring into the atmosphere. Methane that's pouring into the atmosphere because as we melt the permafrost in the Arctic, the gas that's trapped underneath can come up through. Yesterday, in Nature, in the periodical Nature, a new study showing that we're now quite plausibly looking at sea level rise, unless we get things under control very fast, at sea level rise of as much as 7 feet in the course of this century. Did you see those pictures from Hurricane Gustav by the time it came to New Orleans? A Category 1 hurricane that missed the city by a long ways, and yet the water was within inches of the top of those levees. Add 7 feet to that and try to figure out what the coastlines of the world look like. This is the first civilization scale challenge that we have ever faced, and it couldn't be grimmer. The positive feedback effects, these loops that are kicking in, are dangerous and scary and daunting. The only good thing that's come out of all of this in the last few months is that the scientists, panicked in a sense as they are, have finally given us a number, a red line, a target, a place which we can't go past. Our foremost climatologist in this country is a NASA scientist named Jim Hansen, a very brave and good man who stood up to a number of attempts by the Bush administration to gag or fire him. And he said last December at the American Geophysical Union and in a paper published in January, he finally gave us a number. Now, I'm not going to ask you to do much math or science today, but these are the only set of numbers you need to remember, okay? Before the Industrial Revolution, the atmospheric concentration of CO2 was 275 parts per million. That's what it had been all of human history. That's the Genesis number, if you want, or the Buddha number, or the Shakespeare number, however you want to think about the world, okay? When we started burning coal and gas and oil, it started going up, and 20 years ago we began to understand that this was going to be devastating and scary. But we didn't know where the red line was, what the number would be. We used to toss around numbers like 550 parts per million just because it was double what it had been before. And that's what the computer models often worked with. What we learned this year from Jim Hansen was that the safe number, and this is the most important number in the world, is 350 parts per million, 350, okay? It is an extremely tough number because we're already past it. We're at 387 parts per million now, and that makes sense. We're past it and the Arctic is melting. We're past it and the methane is flowing into the atmosphere. We're past it and the sea level is starting to rise. We have got right away, to put the brakes on. This is not a problem for your children or your grandchildren. It is the problem of our time. And if we don't get a handle on it in the next few years, if we don't put in place dramatic plans, not only to stop new coal-fired power plants, but to shut down most of the ones that are already operating, if we do not figure out how to leave that carbon in the ground, then we have no chance.